Well, the BCCI has come out to say that the decision as far as the change of guard is captaincy is concerned is not the decision of any one individual. In fact, the board has said that it was a collective decision, and while the selectors play an important role, key officials also have a say in such important decisions. Let's take this across, in fact, to Tamal, who's joining us for more. Karishma Singh also has been reporting on this story for the past 24 hours. Tamal, I'm going to come to you first. You did try and get an official comment from Saurav Ganguly on camera. He did not speak, but board officials are, in fact, sources are maintaining that it's not an individual decision. It is a collective one, and something that we were, of course, waiting a formal response from the BCCI, but this is at the moment what sources are telling us.
Well, that's right, Madhav, and in order to put things in perspective, we have to first understand where is the controversy and what is the controversy. The controversy possibly first started after Ravi Shastri left the Indian team as a coach and moved out, and there had been a lot of speculations doing rounds whether the kind of terms he have had in the past and which is known in public domain between he and Saurav Ganguly, if that had any kind of a bearing on his change of role. Soon after that, you have also seen that Virat Kohli, leaving the captaincy of T20. Thereafter, he leaving ODI, and now with the revelations coming to fore, Virat Kohli clearly suggesting that when he quit T20 captaincy, nobody approached him asking him or requesting him to reconcile, something which is in contradiction to what Saurav Ganguly has said. So second time entry of Saurav Ganguly, and that's where the second layer of controversy is, as whether Saurav Ganguly is the man responsible for all of the changes, whether Saurav Ganguly and for his differences, quote-unquote, the kind of differences which are there in public domain between he and Ravi Shastri, if that had any kind of a bearing on the decision of Virat Kohli's captaincy or not. To which what you're learning from BCCI sources, that selectors committee is not an individual propriety. It is not one individual's call as whether who would be continuing as a captain and who will have to give up as a captain, indicating that Saurav Ganguly possibly was not the sole person deciding this. There was a selectors committee, and it was the decision of the selectors committee unanimously to ask Virat Kohli to give up ODI captaincy as well when he had decided to give up T20 captaincy. What lies as a bigger contrast and a contradiction...
Tamal, stay with us. I want to come back to you. I want to come back to you in just a minute, but I first want to get in a word from Karishma. Karishma, now this is very interesting because, all right, let's first listen to what happened when Tamal posed those questions to Saurav Ganguly earlier this evening.
Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir?
All right, and Karishma is with us. Karishma, the BCCI was supposed to formally respond this evening. That press conference did not happen. But clearly, this is what sources are telling us, that this is not any individual's decision. It's not any individual whim or fancy. It is a collective decision that the selectors, the board officials have all sat down together, deliberated upon, and then decided as far as the change of the captain is concerned. Karishma. All right, Karishma, I believe you're on mute. If I could request you to unmute yourself and then continue talking. All right, I think there's a problem there with Karishma's audio. We will come back to Karishma in just a minute. Let me quickly take this across to our guests who are with us also at the moment. We will, in fact, cut right across to them in just a minute. I believe we have with us Dr. Bimal Soni, who's with us, the former manager of the Indian cricket team. And Mr. Soni, let me begin by asking you, Monty Panesar, also former England cricketer, is also with us on the broadcast. Mr. Bimal Soni, how do you look at all of this? Clearly, what Virat Kohli has said in the public domain today is in direct contradiction of what has been said with the BCCI in the past, whether it is the issue of him being unavailable for ODIs, whether it's the manner in which he stepped down as the ODI captain, all of these questions. All right, let's listen once again to the sequence before we go across to Mr. Soni to what happened when Tamal posed those questions to Saurav Ganguly earlier this evening.
Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir. Sir, would BCCI want to respond, sir? Sir, one statement, sir.
All right, let's take this across to Bimal Soni, who's with us, former manager of the Indian team. Also with us is Monty Panesar. Karishma Singh, of course, has been reporting on the story for the past 24 hours. Karishma, we have been reporting on this aspect. A formal statement from the BCCI was expected once Virat Kohli came out and made his position known. However, that press conference, we're told, has now been put off until perhaps tomorrow. But sources in the BCCI are, in fact, coming out and saying that this was a well-considered, well-deliberated decision within the BCCI itself. It wasn't any one individual's decision.
Well, it's absolutely, Madhav, and such a big decision like this to remove Virat Kohli from ODI captaincy cannot be one person's decision, whether it's the BCCI president or the secretary. They have to sit down with the chairman of selectors, in fact, speak to the players as well, inform them of the decision that they're going to take, the logic behind it. And that is exactly where it's surprising when Virat Kohli came out today in the press conference and categorically said that he had no prior information, no prior communication of being removed as ODI captain. He was just informed 90 minutes before. Now, what we were told earlier was that there is going to be a press conference by the chairman of selectors, Chetan Sharma, or that BCCI will issue an official statement. None of that has happened up until now, and we are being told that BCCI is likely to take more time to respond to the kind of things that Virat Kohli has said in the press conference. Remember, it's 6 hours and counting, and there has been no official statement from the BCCI. Tamal tried speaking to Sourav Ganguly, but no response coming in from Sourav Ganguly as well. But yes, what BCCI sources are maintaining is that it was a considered and a collective decision. Whether what Virat Kohli is saying is true or not, of being given only 90 minutes advance notice of being removed as ODI captain, we will have to wait and see when the BCCI decides to actually come out and make an official statement to the media, or for Chetan Sharma to address a press conference and tell us whether he did call Virat Kohli 90 minutes before the selection committee meeting, or there is more to what Virat Kohli is saying. We will actually have to wait for the BCCI official statement, a press conference, press release, anything that the BCCI is willing to offer to the media, because at this moment, since the last 6 hours, all efforts to connect to any of the BCCI officials have gone in vain. They are not answering, they are not responding to phone calls, and all we have to wait for is an official statement that actually becomes very, very important for the BCCI to put out its version as well.
Well, absolutely. The official version of the BCCI needs to be put out. Is there a formal rebuttal going to come in as far as what Virat Kohli has said? That's a very important question. Let's take this across to our guest. Monty Panesar is with us. Monty Panesar, let me begin by asking you, how do you think this entire matter has been handled by the BCCI as far as Virat Kohli's captaincy is concerned? All right, Monty Panesar is also with us. Monty, can you, if you can hear me, how do you look at the entire matter of captaincy and how it has been handled by the BCCI? Monty Panesar.
Well, I think there's been a lot of, hasn't been quite transparent as we thought it would have been. And there's been mixed messages where I think Virat Kohli said he wanted to sort of, step down from the T20 captaincy and maybe continue in the ODIs and Test cricket. I just think that the BCCI kind of decided that it's difficult to have two sort of white ball captains, and they probably made the right decision. And I think at that time they should have just said to him when he did want to, do the ODI captaincy, that actually, Virat, I think you'd rather just focus on Test cricket, and we just need to appoint one captain for T20 and ODI.
Also, Mr. Panesar, Virat Kohli has come out to say that he was only informed about an hour and a half before being removed as the ODI captain. Do you think it was correct of him to come out and say this in the open? Or do you believe that the BCCI has not been correct in the handling of such a sensitive matter when it comes to perhaps one of the most successful captains and certainly, of course, perhaps one of the most successful batsmen who's currently still playing?
Well, look, I think BCCI probably weren't happy with him stepping down as T20 captain. Firstly, you know, I don't think he should have announced he's stepping away from captaincy at the start of the tournament. That something can disrupt the team environment. It can cause question marks. There could be other players in that team who'll be thinking, oh, you know, if I perform really well, will I become the T20 captain? It's the sort of conversations, you know, are not ideal at the start of the tournament. And maybe I think he got his timing slightly wrong. He should have just said at the end of the tournament and had a, you know, maybe a private discussion with the BCCI and say, look, you know, I'm thinking of stepping down, but let's make the announcement after end of the tournament. And, you know, it's just, it's a distraction that is not needed at the start of the tournament for such a, you know, look, India is the powerhouse, and, you know, they obviously did, you know, really well, except for the first game against Pakistan. So, yeah, it just wasn't ideal preparation. And some people may even feel, you know, put that kind of question mark and think, you know, because of that distraction, we may have lost against Pakistan. It just adds a conversation that, you know, I'm sure Virat and other players in the team don't really want. So that's the sort of, I think, you know, in hindsight.
Let me come in over here. I want to bring in Bimal Soni on this note. Bimal Soni, how are you looking at the entire matter? Was it not handled properly, or did Virat jump the gun by making all these details public? How are you looking at this?
Well, I am very clear. BCCI is not wrong. They are taking their time to decide when to announce. Selection committee sits, it decides what captain is to be, who is to be made captain. Virat Kohli had resigned as T20 captain, and it is a decision of the selectors, collective decision, not individual, that they would require a captain for white ball cricket and let him continue as test captain. So if somebody doesn't want to captain in 2020, then obviously one-day captaincy is also at stake. Virat to comment today, I think, was a little premature. BCCI has informed him before the selection committee meeting, because the captain is supposed to be part of selection committee meeting. And since he was not being made the captain, he has been informed so that the new captain may participate in the selection of the team.
But the question,
so
Mr. Soni, Mr. Soni, is that, you know, Virat's statements today are in direct contradiction with what has been stated by the BCCI on several counts. He says that he was available for ODI. The information that was known to us thus far is that he was not available for the ODI. He was informed only an hour before the official announcement. Now, these are very, very different from what the BCCI has publicly maintained. And this is something that could have easily been handled better if what Virat is saying is actually true, and there's no reason to believe that what he's saying is not true, given that there's no BCCI statement.
No, what I am trying to say is BCCI has not said that he is not available. He is available, we all know it. But BCCI does not make him a captain ODI. And the selection committee can choose a new captain. The change is because when he was captaining all three, T20, ODI, Test, then he was the declared captain. But if he is withdrawn from T20, the selectors have to decide whether they have to continue him as one-day captain. And in that case, they have decided that Rohit Sharma will captain the ODI and the T20 teams. So naturally, but he is very much available.
Back to you, sir. We'll come back to you, as well as Monty Panesar. Karishma also continues to be with us, but we have to slip into a very quick break for the moment.